Okay, and we are recording. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We have a very special guest today. So on Saturday at our event, you all know I'm a nurse and the science brain in me geeks out on a lot of our products, but our Detox is absolutely my favorite. And we were informed that we have our new Daily Detox Plus, and all of the information about it, I was literally in the front row drooling the whole entire time. So excited about what we now have our hands on. So this is something that I had heard about for quite some time, and just was one of those things like, when are we going to have it? When are we going to have it? When are we going to have it? So Kyle, can I hand it over to you and you can give a little bit more information before we kind of welcome our guest today?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. Good morning. I don't even know what to say. It is Wednesday morning, you guys. This is our product training call that we do every Wednesday. Usually Christy leads it up with product training for you guys to take out to the field as we're building our businesses. And, you know, like Christy said, this past Saturday at our event, we did have some incredible things happen, of course, and one of which, and I think possibly could be the most impactful thing this company ever sees, is the release of Daily Detox Plus. And you guys know me, you guys know my story in the industry. And, for the last 10 years that I've been doing this, you guys know that I have never really been a product guy. But a lot of you also know that I am just absolutely head over heels and in love with Detox. And I have been for several years now. I don't know, probably the better part of 5 years. I have been just in awe of the detox space, primarily, well, not primarily, 100% with something called Clinoptilolite. You guys have heard me talk about it. You've heard me tell the stories. You guys have heard me talk about there was this guy, and I've told this story about the pioneer and this guy that started creating a technology with something called Clinoptilolite many years ago. And, it's really cool to see a piece of this story you guys have never heard and have never seen come to life here at Navan. And I have to give a really, really big shout out to a very good friend of mine, Neil Roth, who made this all possible. He happens to be on this call. Neil and I have been very good friends for probably the better part of, I don't know, almost 10 years now, probably 8, 9 years. I don't even know how long it's been, but he introduced me to the gentleman you're about to hear from a long time ago, years ago. I got to meet this guy on the phone and things like that. But Saturday, I got to meet him face to face for the very first time. And guys, I cannot tell you how incredibly lucky and blessed we are to have Rick part of the Navan team and providing us with the most powerful detox on the face of the earth, in my opinion. And you guys are going to be blown away here in just a moment. I know so many of you wanted to be at our event on Saturday and couldn't, and rightfully so. We understand that you couldn't make it, and for those of you that didn't get to hear the information, it was mind blowing. So I'm gonna hand the call over to him here just in 1 second, and I want you guys to pay attention. But here's what I want you guys to understand. This gentleman is going to be around and teaching and educating and doing webinars and properly fueling you with the information you need about Daily Detox Plus and how it works and what it is. And you guys, this isn't just a one-time thing. You're going to be hearing from him quite a bit. But I was talking to Christy yesterday and I said, you know what, let's see if we can have him on our call tomorrow, because one thing that I think is exciting is, this product is coming very, very soon. Obviously, some of you already have it, but you guys are going to have the ability to start ordering and buying this product like immediately. So I think it would be really important for you guys to get the information first, right? Not just, all right, we have Daily Detox Plus. Now, how do we explain this? Why does somebody want this over anything else out there? So anyway, guys, I'm going to shut my trap here. Let me make sure he's still here. I think I just saw that he left the meeting. So we might have had a technical issue here. But I was about to hand the call over to him, and I think we lost him. Give me 1 second here.
While Kyle
can
is,
you hear me?
oh, here he is.
Yeah. For some reason, last time I used Zoom, it called me Mr. CEO. So I'm under Mr. CEO.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, you know what? That works, I think, in its own space. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hand the call over. So for those of you that don't know, guys, this is Rick Deitch. I I know he has probably some incredible titles, but he is a biochemist, guys. And in my opinion, he is, well, and from what I know, he is the pioneer of detox in the zeolite space. And he has created the technology that we have all come to love.
Kyle
I mean,
calls
Rick,
him the Godfather.
I do. Rick, behind the scenes, I've called you the Godfather for years, my friend, without giving people your name. So if you don't mind, Rick, here's primarily what we do here. We train people on, our products so they have an idea of what the heck they're dealing with. But if you could kind of just talk about, well, who you are, let people know who you are and how you got into this, but talk about our product and what you're doing and how you're creating it. And then I think another thing that would be important that maybe you could hit on a little bit is just explaining the difference of this detox compared to, what else is out there. You're obviously familiar with some of the companies that are creating some products, and obviously as distributors, everybody out here comes in contact with people, with products like from TRS and things like that. And obviously, it's always, well, mine is better than yours. And I hate when we get into those type conversations with people, but if they had the fuel to understand what to say, man. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to close my mouth and let you just take it away. So guys, this is Rick Deitch. It is an incredible honor to have him here for you. So thank you, my friend. Take it away.
Kyle, thanks for having me. So as you said, I'm a biochemist. I like to say I'm a little different in the field because I'm both a nutritional and a pharmaceutical biochemist. And most of my life for the last 15 years has been as a pharmaceutical biochemist with Nutrapharma Corporation. We have 21 patents. We have drugs for the treatment of pain, HIV, multiple sclerosis, adrenal neuropathy, and ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And we're primarily focused on our over-the-counter pain drugs, which is Nyloxin for humans and Pet Pain Away for dogs and cats, as well as our MS drug for pediatric MS. We're moving forward in phase 2 clinical studies. And all of our research is actually on venomous animals. So primarily we use cobra venom to make drugs. And we have a contract with the snake farm in South Florida with 1,100 cobras, and we milk the cobras and we use that cobra venom to make drugs. So if anyone ever wants to do a tour of the snake farm and pet the snakes, let me know. We're happy to have you. So that's me as a pharmaceutical biochemist. Now, as a nutritional biochemist, I had the great fortune in the mid-90s to start working with Carl DeSantis and the Rexall Sundown family of companies. And that was Rexall, GNC, Worldwide Pure Protein, Royal Numico, and then Rexall Showcase International. And that was my introduction to network marketing. And Rexall Showcase was really fascinating because most of the distributors, a good percentage of the distributors, were medical professionals. We attracted doctors, nurses, chiropractors, physical therapists. And so research was a big part of that. So for that company and its descendant company, which was Unicity Network at the time, I formulated over 100 products. I conducted more than 50 clinical studies on those products. And I really got the bug in explaining it to the distributors. And most researchers don't get to do that. Most researchers don't get to invent a product, study a product, test a product, then actually go to the end user and explain what they found out and how it works and answer questions. And so that was exciting to me because in network marketing, you don't have a shelf behind your product. You have a person behind your product. And to educate those people, to tell other people how this works and what the research is behind it is fascinating. It's really exciting for me. So I was glad to do it. So back in the mid-90s, when I was working with Rexall and with Unicity, eventually Unicity, I came across this concept of zeolites. And the first zeolite product that was really out there was a German product called Megamins. And it was interesting. It kind of talked about how detox works. But they do something called tribal mechanical activation. They basically shake up the zeolite, and then they have a sort of arbitrary line in the middle of this pile of zeolite and say everything above this is good, everything below this is bad. And it's not a bad concept because if the zeolite has a lot of toxins and heavy metals in it, it's going to be heavier and going to sink to the bottom. But it's not really that perfect. But that's how they made their product. But that's how I really got into the concept of zeolite for detoxification. Then I realized that there's things wrong with it. And as you said, zeolites have been around for over 800 years. They've been used in traditional medicine, especially Clinoptilolite, which is a sheet-like zeolite, is highly abundant, has been used in water filtration and animal feed, and has been used in human nutrition. But the problem with natural clinoptilolite is that the particles are too big. If you get it just from a mine site, they're usually 40 to 200 microns. So huge particles like granular sand. And it's full of toxins because zeolites suck toxins out of the environment. They're nature's filter. So as water flows over zeolite deposits, as water blows through it, it's sucking all those toxins out of the air and out of the water. And so when you get that zeolite, that natural zeolite, it's full. It's like having a sponge. It's already all full. What are you going to do with it? You know? So my process that I came up with, it took 5 years to perfect, and really I've been working on it for the last, since the late 90s, is micronization and activation. First, you have to crush the zeolite over and over and over and over again to get the smallest particles you can. And my average particle size is less than 1 micron, and we get it all the way down to 0.47 microns. That's small enough that when you ingest the product, it actually gets absorbed from the digestive tract into the bloodstream to be a systemic detoxifier. That's the first step. And the second step is I clean it out. I do a process called activation, which is I use natural acids and heat to get all of those toxins that are inherent in the zeolite, get them out of there so it's clean. So you have a cleaner zeolite. It's like taking that sponge at your sink and really cleaning it out and squeezing it out so that sponge can hold as much as possible. So that greatly increases the surface area of the zeolite. So that's really how it works, and it's really good at sucking up small, highly charged metals and pretty much all volatile organic compounds. So among the metals, you're looking at mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenic, tin, bismuth, aluminum, antimony, those metals that all cause disease. And it's not good at pulling out calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, all the good metals that we need for health. So it's really good at differentiating. So that's the first step. The second thing is volatile organic compounds. It loves benzene, toluene, dichlorobenzene, all those volatile organic compounds that we're exposed to on a daily basis. It basically sandwiches those between zeolite cages and pulls those out of the body. And we've done 14 clinical studies. We've published 3 of them, but we have all the results available for the distributors. So we have a lot of technical information for the distributors that we're going to be rolling out over the next couple of months in the form of webinars and in PDFs that you guys can download. So there's going to be a lot of information. And I did warn people at the conference against analysis paralysis. This is something you want to share right away, even though we have this information. It's better that you know that we know than you know yourself. Okay, so we have this information for all of you, and we're going to share it with all of you so you have it if someone asks. But I do warn people against not doing anything for fear that you need to have a degree in biochemistry before you share this. It's not necessary. Okay, so the next thing is you asked about comparisons. Now, I studied detoxification. We actually wrote the book, me and my partner, Dr. Stuart Lonke, who's a pulmonologist in Los Angeles. We wrote a book called Invisible Killers in 2008. And it kind of puts in one place this concept of what are the toxins in the environment? How do they get into our body through food, water, air? Once they're in our body, what do they do to us? How do they increase our risk for disease and dysfunction? And then the most important thing is, how do you mitigate the risk of exposure so don't get this in your body? And how do you actively detoxify? And most detoxification, detox concepts out in the market today are the concept of wasting. How do I sweat more? And how do I go to the bathroom more? How do I pee and defecate more? Because if you get things out of your body, toxins will go as well. And the faster you get things out of the body, the faster toxins go out. That's the concept. But there's a problem with all those things. Like sweating, for example, the body doesn't really lose a lot of toxins through sweat. So infrared saunas and things are nice, but you're not losing a lot of heavy metals through your sweat. And it also causes dehydration. So you have to make sure that you're replacing electrolytes and drinking plenty of water. And then very similarly with the diuretics like dandelion root and things like that, or with the laxatives like senna-based teas, you're going to go to the bathroom and you're going to waste some toxins, but there's 2 issues with that. The first, of course, is the dehydration, which can be severe. And the second is addiction. Your body becomes physically addicted to some of those diuretics and laxatives to the point that when you stop taking them, you can have a lot of dysfunction. And I mentioned from stage, there's a condition called encopresis, which is almost unique among people that use senna-based teas. It's basically that peristalsis, the normal natural muscular contractions in the digestive tract don't work well. After a while, they can kind of get atrophied because the senna-based teas just relax everything. So everything just flows out. And when you stop taking it, your body can't properly move food along, and you wind up with bouts of constipation followed by explosive diarrhea. And the condition is called encopresis, can cause distal bowel problems, and it can actually lead to eventual necrotic bowel and resection. And so it can be dangerous in the extreme for people that use that stuff all the time. So you look at those concepts, and I'm not saying they're bad. I like some center-based tea products once a week, twice a week. It's just something you don't want to do all the time because it can be very hard on the system. So looking at the zeolite not only detoxifies the digestive tract, but it's a systemic detoxifier. It goes all over your body, and any metals, any volatile organic compounds in active distribution are going to be sucked up by the zeolite and removed from the body. So what happened? I launched my zeolite in 2005 with another company. I don't know if you want me to talk about that history, but immediately about a dozen companies started knocking me off. They said, wow, that's a great idea. I'll do it too. The problem is they didn't understand the chemistry, and they still don't understand the chemistry of what I do and why I do what I do. So, in fact, I talk about the first company was Denali. I talk about that because it's clear, it's easy to find in the news. But the company Denali launched a product called Denali Tox, which was a knockoff of my product. And everybody kept saying, you got to say something about them. You got to address this. They're going to steal our distributors. And my answer is always that if you have a low-level competitor, you don't have to address it. The second you address it, you give them viability, you give them visibility. And so my saying is you don't have to swing at every pitch. So in this case, it was a bad product. I didn't want to talk about it. And when the product came out, the first thing is it turned your teeth green when you took it, which I kind of thought was a negative. I mean, people want white teeth. And then the second thing is it actually put people in the hospital. 2 people were hospitalized for aflatoxicosis caused by a fungal, by Aspergillus parasiticus, which was in the product, which caused aflatoxin poisoning, which can cause permanent liver failure for these patients. And so that product was pulled off the market. The president of the company was fired. I don't even know if they're still around. But that was the first competitor we had to my zeolite product. Since then, most people have just been taking zeolite out of the ground and putting it in a jar with a scoop. In that case, the problem is it's too big and it's dirty, and so it's just going to be a digestive detoxifier. And then the other thing people do is you try to add things to it to give it some sort of viability. For example, humic and fulvic acid. So I don't want to bash this because Navan did have a product that had humic and fulvic acid, but there's a reason manufacturers put that in the product. First thing is humic and fulvic acids come from dead and decaying plant material. If you ever heard of humic or humus earth, it's because bacteria and fungus have eaten away at compost and formed this humic acid, this humic earth. And so if you don't clean it out well, by definition, it's going to have fungus and bacteria in it, which is what Denali's problem was. The second thing is the reason you put it in is because it's so high in mineral content. They put it in for a zeolite that's not well micronized because it helps the particles float in solution. And so it keeps it in solution. What you're going to see with the Daily Detox Plus is it will fall down. The zeolite is heavier than water. But the second you touch it, you're going to see it puff up because it's so super fine. The particles are so micronized that it goes directly back into solution the second you pick it up and shake it up. And it'll stay in solution as you take the product. With those other products, it's such a heavy particle. It's so big, it doesn't stay in solution. So they have to trick people by adding minerals that surround the zeolite to keep it in solution. And that's the primary reason people use the humic and fulvic acid, because they're not properly micronizing the zeolite. It is a labor-intensive process. I'm probably going to do some videos in the lab so people can see what we go through to make it. We have a lot of really cool toys. You know, I showed some pictures at the conference, but we'll do some videos that kind of show the process and how intense it is, how intensive it is. So everyone else out there, really either their particles are too big or they're dirty or both. And they're all out there probably saying they're the same product and they're not. The biggest issue is that ours actually works. It's micronized. It does get into the body to be a systemic detoxifier. And it's going to remove a lot of heavy metals. In fact, we so maximize the surface area that 1 gram of the product, so 1 gram is about 1.5 bottles, because there's about 600 milligrams per bottle. So 1 gram is about 1.5 bottles, has 90 square feet of surface area. Now, 90 square feet, you know, think about how big that is, but imagine how many atoms of mercury you can fit in 90 square feet. Okay, so I asked this at the conference. I expected someone to do math, but the answer is a lot, a whole lot. So the zeolite can suck up a ton of toxins. It's incredibly efficient. And then what do you expect to see? So most people with other zeolite products, they take it on faith. They don't have a lot of benefit. What we've seen with our product is real results. We've seen people measure their heavy metal output. We've seen anywhere from 5 to 7-fold increase in heavy metal excretion in healthy individuals. We've seen as much as a 15-fold increase in heavy metal excretion in toxic individuals when we did our study with West Virginia coal miners. So we saw a huge increase in heavy metal excretion. And then on top of that, what do you feel? Well, if you're sick, if you have disease or dysfunction, you feel a lot. You feel much better. Everything pretty much gets better because the body is healthier. But in the generally healthy individual, they tend to sleep better at night. They have more energy during the day. They report that they have better cognitive function. In fact, people say it's like a cloud was removed or the fog came off my brain. And then we see visual acuity improvements. We see people who say their eyesight is better, especially glare recovery and night vision. And we believe that's because as we take pressure off the liver, glutathione production improves, and glutathione helps as the antioxidant in the eyes and improves visual acuity. So we've seen that pretty much across the board. Now, the last thing I'll talk about is testimonials. I really, as a scientist, I'm not a big fan of testimonials. I hate when people come up and they say how this cured this and cured that and cured this without having scientific proof or placebo-controlled studies behind it. And as an example, I'm going to give this example. I gave a lecture like this in Hawaii in 2007. 800 people were there, and they called for testimonials. And a man walked up on stage, and I swear this is exactly what he said. He said, "I was blind, and now I can see." All right, so people were concerned. They were like walking out the back, and I said, whoa, let's find out what happened. So this particular guy was a diabetic, and he's what we call a brittle diabetic. He wasn't controlling his diabetes. He was taking 4 to 6 shots of insulin a day, and he was all over the place. Insulin was up and down, and glucose was up and down. And he had early stages of diabetic retinopathy, which is the leading cause of adult blindness in the United States. What happened? He started taking the zeolite. He started taking care of himself. He controlled his diabetes, and his retinopathy reversed, which can happen in early stage retinopathy. And he got his eyesight back. And so did the zeolite cure blindness? No, it did not. But it helped him control a condition that helped his body fix itself, because the body is a miracle. The body is an amazing machine that's capable of fixing itself. The problem is we have all these toxins in the way that take up all this space. Okay, so what I say about the zeolite is it's not a supplement. It doesn't give you anything. It takes things out of the body that don't belong there. And by cleaning it out, a cleaner, healthier body fixes itself. And that is the common denominator you're going to see with the testimonials. So Kyle, I hope I answered all the questions. Let me know if you need anything else.
Oh my gosh, Rick. Yeah, no, thank you very much. I'm very appreciative of this. Christy, is there any questions that you thought of? Or?
I just have a couple quick questions, just things that I get asked on a daily basis, which is why is it that we mine natural zeolite and like the cleaning process and how we can make sure that there aren't, and I know you touched on that a little bit, but I know there are some other companies out there that actually have synthetic type zeolite. So why is it that we actually use a natural one? And then the other one is, and I know everyone should kind of check with their doctor, but do you know if there's anyone that maybe our product isn't safe for, if they have any existing medical conditions or, age group, that kind of thing?
Okay. All right. So first, synthetic zeolites are illegal to use as supplementation. It's not a natural product. It's not registered with the federal government. The only zeolite that's actually used for supplementation is called zeolite A, and it's used in horses. Okay, it's specifically used in horses. Natural zeolites are different than synthetic zeolites. There's 49 different natural zeolites. We use Clinoptilolite, which is a long history, 800-year history in traditional medicine and by use in humans. Natural zeolites are really strong. They're hard to break down. They're really stable. They're what they call amphoteric, which means they exist just as well in acid as base. Very, very stable. It takes heats greater than 800 degrees, more than 10 hours, to melt or break down a natural zeolite. Synthetic zeolites are made to break down. They're made to be used as filter material and then broken down. So you really wouldn't want to have a synthetic zeolite for this sort of product. And you look at GRAS status, showing recognized as safe. Clinoptilolite has GRAS status in the United States, so we can sell it as a dietary supplement. We can use it in our products. So like I said, if I simply went and said, okay, I want to make the perfect synthetic zeolite to remove mercury, I could do that, but it wouldn't be legal. I'd actually have to go through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 clinical studies with the FDA to get that product approved. I wouldn't be able to sell it until I did all these studies. So if anyone's out there saying they have a synthetic zeolite for supplementation, that's an illegal product. They really can't sell it. Okay. Now go back to it's natural. How can we sell it and really have a good product? And that's the process. It's got to be micronized. It's got to be activated. And if you're not doing it, then you have a product that's going to be a great digestive detoxifier, but it's not going to be systemic. It's not going to take out what Daily Detox Plus will. Okay. So that's the first part. And then what was your second question was if there's any contraindications or anything like that. And the answer is the only issue really is potential for dehydration, like any detox product. As you start wasting these excess heavy metals, the body will see a change in overall electrostatic potential and it'll lose water. And so just make sure you're drinking plenty of water, 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. That's a healthy intake of water when you're detoxing. And then the other issue is if you're on a metal-based drug, okay? We have studied this against lithium, and we found no issues with lithium. Lithium is a large ion with a +1 charge, so the zeolite has very little affinity for lithium, so we didn't have any problems with those patients. But if you're a cancer patient and you're on a platinum-based chemotherapy, you do not want to take the zeolite a week before chemotherapy to a week after chemotherapy, because it will remove the platinum and invalidate the chemotherapy. Because remember, chemotherapy is really poison. You're poisoning your body in an attempt to kill the cancer. And platinum-based therapies like cisplatin and carboplatin, the platinum is the zeolite has a high affinity for the platinum. It'll just suck it out of the body, which is good after chemotherapy. So right after you have the chemotherapy, like a week after chemo, you'll want to take the zeolite because you want to suck all that excess platinum out because it's continuing to harm healthy tissue.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Wow. Thank you, Rick. I greatly appreciate your time. I know everybody on this call is extremely excited. So thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're super busy over there cranking away, making product.
Yeah. We're a full-time, and you know, with this whole COVID-19 thing took us by surprise. So there are people that can't come in. They have to be home with their kids because all school's canceled. So we have a lot of trials and tribulations in launching this product. But you know what? If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth doing.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? God bless them. And you know what? We'll pull through this together. I think, well, I know we're all going to pull through this and get through this time. But, well, thank you, Rick. As promised, guys, you have the greatest detox product on the planet right here at your fingertips. So let's all get fired up. Let's get excited. This is right around the corner.
Hey, Kyle,
you guys are going to have yeah.
There's some people asking some questions on the side. Do you want me to answer them really quickly?
If you don't mind, if you have the time, please, by all means.
Okay, so someone asked, is it safe for people with fillings in their teeth? Yes, it's perfectly safe for people with fillings in their teeth. It's not going to suck up dental amalgams like mercury, but if the mercury is free, if it's off-gassing, it actually will start to pull mercury out of the body. And this is something, I've never been a fan of mercury amalgams. Mercury fillings, I think it's a bad idea to put mercury in your body in any case. But it's also dangerous to remove them. If the dentist is removing the fillings, doesn't know what they're doing, they will create mercury vapor, which is actually much more toxic as they breathe that in. So they have to use a hood, they have to use vacuum and stuff like that. So I usually recommend that if someone has mercury-based fillings, they wait till the fillings fail, and when they fail, replace them with a composite filling. So that's the first question. Let's see. I've actually made a zeolite-based toothpaste, which I would love Navan to launch, because it is tooth whitening and it does detox the mouth and will remove excess mercury if you have mercury in your mouth. But it won't.
We need to get Trey on that. I need that.
Let's see.
Well, Rick, I think Rick just opened that can of worms because now he's going to have a flood of distributors asking for his toothpaste.
I think another one of the ones was viral particles.
So someone asked about viral particles. So yes, there's actually 3 papers that were published on Clinoptilolite's ability to prevent viral replication. So if you understand how a virus works, technically a virus is not a living thing because a virus is just a packet of genetic material with a protein coating on it. It can't live all by itself. It can't replicate by itself. So what a virus does, it gets into your body, it goes into your cells, and in your cells, it injects its genetic material into yours and hijacks your cellular mechanisms to make copies of itself. Now, when it makes copies of itself, it makes pieces, viral particles, that have to, then it makes an enzyme, viral protease, that snips and cuts the pieces until they're attracted to each other. And they go through something called self-assembly, viral assembly. And then you have a full virus that then can go and infect other cells. Well, between that process, some of those viral particles are small and highly charged, and the zeolite will suck them up. And so there are, like I said, 3 publications show clinoptilolite's ability to inhibit viral replication. So when it undergoes self-assembly, it's missing pieces, and it could be missing vital pieces. And I tell people the virus might look like a virus, but I used to have a car that didn't work. It was in my dad's driveway. My dad would complain it was a big sculpture in the driveway because it didn't work. It looked like a car. It looked like it should work, but it didn't. And so these viruses are missing vital pieces, so they can't function, they can't replicate. So I'm not saying that this is something that's going to stop COVID-19 or prevent COVID-19, but there are 3 publications that show that clinoptilolite can inhibit viral replication, and it might be a good thing to take for general overall health and improvement of the immune system. Okay. Is it safe for someone with autoimmune diseases? Absolutely. Hyperimmune responses are an unnatural response in the body. If the body is healthier, if you have toxins in your body, the body is functioning better, it's going to be better for anyone with an autoimmune disease. Remove excess iron. Great question. Okay, so iron is very low on the affinity scale of the zeolite, but concentration has a lot to do with it as well. So if you have normal iron loads, it's probably not going to have any effect on it. But once you get high iron loads, especially someone who might have hematochromatosis, which is a dangerous iron load that requires you to give blood every 4 to 6 weeks, we've seen people with hematochromatosis do really well taking the zeolite and helping stabilize their iron loads. So as the concentration goes up, the affinity will go up and the zeolite will pull out excess heavy metals, including iron. Chronic issues, feeling. Well, people are, yeah, so I can't answer this question. Someone says if you have chronic issues not feeling different after 2 months, it could be a million different things. So without seeing blood work, without seeing what the doctor's saying, there's all sorts of autoimmune diseases, there's all sorts of underlying mycobacterium infections, viral fungal infections. So I love watching the show House because I play like a video, like a game show. I try to guess what's wrong with the patient before House does, So
I love House. I can never guess though. So
yeah, I'm pretty good at diagnostics, but and I teach physician courses. I teach CME courses for doctors who don't remember any of their biochemistry.
all the
But
nurses
with
in
that,
the audience on Saturday want to know if we were going to get CEUs for your lecture.
yeah, I said it was a 3-credit course. I did go a little deep. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Viral particles, dosage, and how many are in the bottle. Yeah, so it's the recommended regular dose is 10 drops twice a day. Okay. I do recommend what I call a detox dose, which is 10 drops 4 times a day for the first month. So you'll go through 2 bottles the first month and then a bottle thereafter, because once you do the detox dose and you kind of clean yourself out, you can go to the maintenance dose, which is 10 drops twice daily. And then I do recommend repeating the detox dose once or twice a year because as toxins start to build up again and get released in the system, you want to clean those out. So that's a recommendation. A bottle should last a month on a maintenance dose. Can you take more? Absolutely. It's perfectly safe. The only issue is dehydration. So you want to drink plenty of water. And then, so people that have real, like, especially toxic exposure, toxic conditions, you can take as much as 15 drops at a time. Once you get more than 15 drops, you find that there's a negative absorption. You're not absorbing as much because it is passively absorbed. So there are people that we've dealt with that have taken, say, 10 drops every hour. And they've done really well with that. But it is a lot to take, especially if you're a highly toxic person. It can lead to something called a dumping crisis, which you normally don't see with the zeolite. So if people understand, and this is something I did talk about with senna-based teas and diuretics, when you remove toxins quickly, toxins are in sequestration, they're hidden in the fat and the muscle and the bone, can come into the system quickly and cause what they call a dumping syndrome or a dumping crisis, which is you have flu-like symptoms, you feel sick, you feel run down. That's because all these toxins are coming out at once. We normally don't have that issue with the zeolite because the zeolite pulls them out steadily and slowly and consistently, so you don't have that crisis. But if you're taking a huge amount at once, you could have a dumping syndrome or dumping crisis, and you should be aware of that. So if you feel worse before you feel better, that's why. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? Say cheese. Say cheese. Okay, clinoptilolite is spelled exactly the way it sounds. So Clin, Clinoptilolite. Clinoptilolite. If you say it right, you can spell it. It's spelled exactly the way it sounds. Oh, there it is. Someone wrote it. Okay. Thank you for coming. Any more questions?
I think there's a question about mold, which I don't know if you can even answer that.
Molds put out spores and endotoxins, and they're really very large particles. The zeolite itself is not going to remove those. Obviously you have to take care of the mold and remediate the mold. But I tell you, for years, people come to me with these list of toxins and say, does the zeolite take this out? And my answer is, it really doesn't matter, because the zeolite takes out everything else. And when the zeolite is taking out all these toxins, it actually allows the body to handle the rest. So things that normally the zeolite wouldn't take out, by improving liver function and liver transformation, it allows the liver to do its job and remove those toxins that the zeolite doesn't. So a cleaner, healthier body fixes itself. That's the underlying denominator. Okay. Lower dose for children. Yeah, I mean, it's really not by weight, but certainly if you have anyone under 12, they could probably do 5 drops twice a day and do great. You know, they don't need to take the 10 drops twice a day. And yes, it's safe for children. Kidney stones, good question. So kidney stones are caused by calcium oxalate, not calcium carbonate. And a lot of people think that they have to avoid calcium when they get kidney stones. It's actually the exact opposite. You have to increase calcium intake if you're a stone former. So it usually means that you don't have enough calcium, and oxalic acid from your diet, foods that are high in oxalic acid, will form those calcium oxalate stones. They'll suck up the calcium in the body. So the first thing is, you got to drink more water and you got to take more calcium, and that'll help prevent kidney stones. But additionally, we had done a small open label study with stone formers, and we found that when they took the zeolite, it helped keep the calcium in solution and reduce risk of kidney stones. And people with active kidney stones, again, I can't make this claim as far as treating a condition or symptom of a disease, but we did have a patient that had a kidney stone. He was scheduled to go into the hospital for ultrasound destruction of the kidney stone, started taking high doses of zeolite. By the time he got to the hospital, they couldn't even find the kidney stone. It was able to remove the calcium quickly enough that it reduced the size of the stone. Let's see. Yeah. So, well, someone asked if you heard quickly, synthetic zeolites are illegal. I said they're illegal for human supplementation. So there's no synthetic zeolite that is registered with the FDA as a dietary ingredient, or an NDI, a new dietary ingredient. So synthetic zeolites are used primarily in the oil and gas industries as molecular sieves. They're used to filter things out because depending on what the synthetic zeolite is, it'll have affinity for different things. So there's no synthetic zeolite that's approved for use as human supplementation. Okay, so that's why I said it would be illegal if someone said, I have a synthetic zeolite and it's a detox product. That would not be a legal product because it's not registered with the FDA. There is a synthetic zeolite called zeolite A, as I said before, and it's used in horses. So it's registered for use in veterinary medicine. Okay, I think I answered all the questions.
Thank you so much.
I think so. Yeah, thank you so much, Rick. We really appreciate it. And well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Rick, appreciate your time again, and looking forward to seeing Daily Detox coming into everybody's houses here. And I know this is the first of many. So thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning, and we will see you on Friday's compensation plan call. So thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful day. Rick, appreciate it. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining.